Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Welcome to the weekly comic book review here on Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and this is the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I let you know what I thought about them, and it is a very impressive new comic book day this week. So let's get right into it with the pick of the week. This week's pick of the week, Maxwell's Demons, number 4 and 5. One combined finale. So Maxwell's Demons has been not in print for a long time now. It's been a while between issue 3 and this finale right here, but it is well worth the wait. I love this book. I love it so much. I think it's amazing. This was the first Vault comic I ever read. Started my love affair with Vault comics. They do amazing work. They have great works out this week, but I really want to spotlight Maxwell's Demons. This book is amazing. It's the story of a boy genius, right? But the way that each issue was written by a writer, Dennis Camp, it's phenomenal because each issue is a one-shot. Each issue can be just read on its own. But when you read them all together, once you get to the end here, it puts a whole new light on the entire series, and it definitely deserves a reread. This book is fantastic. I did an advanced review for it about a month or two ago. You can find that on the channel right now. But Maxwell's Demons is great. The artwork by Vittorio Astoni is perfection, beautiful, textured coloring, and the lettering by one of the absolute best letterers in the business today, Aditya Bidikar. Fantastic work, a great conclusion. You guys just knocked this out of the park. You nailed the ending. You nailed that landing. You totally sold it. I love this book so much. I cannot wait to read it over and over and over for times to come. And one of my favorite things about Maxwell's Demons is that this is a story about imagination. It's a story about ideas, right? And all the ideas that Camp and Company throw at you, some of them could blossom into entire epics across many, many comic book pages. But here, they're just a little detail. They're just a little fun little twist, a little thing to put in there. Real great stuff, very inventive, very creative, great work. Maxwell's Demons. And if you've missed out, you haven't gotten to jump in onto the whole Maxwell's Demons thing yet, the trade's going to be coming out soon. You definitely got to get it. Fantastic work from Vault Comics, Dennis Camp, Vittorio Astoni, and Aditya Bidikar. Maxwell's Demons, the number 4, number 5 combined finale. Pick of the week. But let's get to some other awesome comic books from Vault Comics too. Queen of Bad Dreams number 1 is out this week from writer Danny Lore, artist Jordi Perez, colorist Dearbla Kelly, and letterer Kim McLean. Really like this one. This is another one I did an advanced review for about a month ago. This book is really cool. It's got a cool concept with really great characters. I love the artwork. It's very fluid. It's very dynamic, very kinetic, very charged. And it's got, once again, textured coloring. Really great textured coloring that adds a nice fantastical element to the story. The basic gist of Queen of Bad Dreams is that sometimes a figment from somebody's dream can escape into reality. There's this agency out there, and they determine whether those figments should be brought back into the dream world, integrated into society, or completely destroyed. Great characters, a great setup, a really cool mystery, a nice little twist. I love this book. Queen of Bad Dreams is very imaginative, and Danny Lore and company, they have done an absolute fantastic job with this book, building this world, building these characters, and doing so in a very thrilling and exciting and action-packed way. Queen of Bad Dreams number 1 out this week. Be on the lookout for that. And Fearscape number 5. Another fantastic book from Vault. Fearscape number 5, the conclusion of this series, written by Ryan O'Sullivan, with artwork by Andrea Muti, coloring by Vladimir Popov, and lettering by AndWorld Design. I did an advanced review for this one last week. I talked about it a little bit, but after that review, I went back and I read all 5 issues, and then I read the conclusion again before this video. This book is elegant. This book is masterful. This book is just sophisticated, and it's sophisticated and elegant and masterful because it plays on the idea that we're expecting it to be those things. The actual story that Fearscape is about, which is kind of revealed in this issue, is actually much deeper and much richer than I ever thought this story would be. O'Sullivan and company have completely nailed this ending. They've knocked it out of the park. really great wrap up to the story. It's been about Henry, the world's greatest plagiarist, taken into the Fearscape instead of the world's greatest storyteller to defeat the fears of mankind. And we wind up understanding more about the fears inside of Henry and the fears inside each and every single one of us. This has been a very challenging book, challenging to the media, challenging to comic books, like to literature. This book is about story. It's about the mythology of story. Or is it? It's a fantastic book. Fearscape is amazing, and the conclusion just very satisfying, very satisfying. And before we jump over to the big two, one more debut I want to talk about is a Cinder #1 from Image Comics, writer Jeff Lemire and artist Dustin Nguyen. Steve Wan's on the lettering. You know we loved Cinder when that was out. A great, cool, crazy sci-fi epic with beautiful, luscious watercolored artwork. Just absolute beautiful stuff. The artwork is just gorgeous. The coloring, the way it's all set up, the composition, the layouts, the Wan's lettering on Nguyen's artwork, it's just phenomenal. It all works together. Cinder is kind of like the sequel to Cinder. It takes place 10 years later. All technology has been banned and wiped out. Now the universe is ruled by magic, right? And there's an evil, tyrannical overlord mother, and she's controlling everything with the magic. So it's kind of like Cinder, but the flip side of it, where technology's banned, magic is on the swing up. Set 10 years later. If you never read Cinder, you could totally pick this up and read it. It's a whole new story, but fans of Cinder, they're going to have a lot of nods in this issue that you're really, really going to like. But overall, if you've never read Cinder or Cinder, I would just totally recommend that you read Cinder, and go ahead and read Cinder right now. It doesn't really spoil too much about Cinder, but this book has been amazing. Issue #1 of Cinder was great, of establishing its own identity and making me really, really excited. I was very saddened when Cinder ended. It had a great finale, it had a great organic ending that was very well done. However, it's just sad to leave a world that you've become so enthralled with, so in love with, right? Cinder's kind of like a return to that world, but it does stand on its own. It carves out its own identity as its own story. Really cool, really magical, very eloquent, and the artwork, like I said, absolutely masterful, beautiful coloring, and the organic combination of the lettering with the artwork is just such an incredible experience. Lemire and company have nailed this one and knocked it out of the park. Cinder #1. So let's move over to Marvel. Marvel has Thanos #1 out this week. This is written by Tini Howard. Part of her new exclusive contract with Marvel. This is going to be a mini-series. It's going to go back in time. How far? And back to when Thanos first found Gamora. So this is going to be the story of Thanos and Gamora. It's going to be maybe has a little bit of retcon here and there. Overall, it was all right. It was pretty decent. It was solid. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it didn't blow me away or anything like that. It does add some new spins on some old information, new twists, new leanings, new more heavy leanings into the MCU and what's come afterwards. Ariel Olivetti, his coloring is, his artwork is pretty solid. It's exactly what we expect, but the coloring by Antonio Fabella is absolutely stunning in this work. But I thought it was all right. It's pretty decent. This is going to be a mini-series. It's going to explain Thanos, Gamora, that whole thing right there. So that's interesting. If, there's a movie coming out this week, I think. I think it's this week. I think Thanos and the Avengers are in it, something like that. Anyway, War of the Realms tie-ins continue on with an Uncanny XMen first issue of a, 3-part miniseries, I believe. This is written by Matthew Rosenberg. It has the legacy numbering on it. So this is actually part of the Uncanny X-Men line going on right now. So it's got Cyclops and his ragtag team of mutants. It deals a lot with some of the New Mutant characters, of course, with the War of the Realms and the Valkyries being called in those last couple issues. Really exciting, cool stuff here. But it's not as good. It doesn't hit as hard as the Uncanny X-Men book has been right now, but it's been pretty, it was pretty decent. It was all right. Perry Perez, his artwork is pretty fine. It's decent. It's got some real fun stuff. It does kind of take a step back from where they're at in Uncanny X-Men right now, so that kind of was a little bit jarring. I need to pay close attention to the legacy numbering and see if it matches up and it's been out of sequence or something. Anyway, if you've been following Uncanny X-Men, it's going to continue through here along with the pages of Uncanny X-Men. As far as a tie-in to War of the Realms, well, Danny's in it, so that makes sense, right? But if you haven't read War of the Realms, that stuff's going to be spoiled in this issue. for sure. Another War of the Realms tie-in was Avengers, issue number 18 out this week. And instead of just going full on into tying into his main event, the writer Jason Aaron elaborates just a little bit of the mystery about the new Squadron Supreme, the Squadron Supreme of America. We don't quite know what is up with that yet, but it is a nice introduction and focused spotlight issue on them during the War of the Realms, fighting frost giants and all that kind of stuff. It's got Ed McGuinness back on the artwork. Jason Aaron's been doing a great job with the Avengers, and War of the Realms is such a big epic thing, but it's really cool to see him continuing to use his tie-ins on Avengers to set up the future stories of the Avengers, and doing so exceptionally well. I really like this issue. I like this new version of the Squadron Supreme. There's a lot of mystery there, a lot of mystery on Coulson, but it has an ending that kind of gets a little bit of that mystery to be like, huh, what's going on here? But I'm liking it. War of the Realms also continues on into Venom, Venom number 13, and we were all nervous about this one because this is not written by Donny Cates. It's written by Cullen Bunn. First part of I think it's a 3-part series. It's going to be the War of the Realms tie-in for Venom, allow Cates and Stegman some time to build up some leeway room on Venom and Absolute Carnage, right? But this was actually pretty good. I really liked it. Cullen Bunn is a great writer, and he knows what to do, especially with the character Venom. He's written it before. Eddie Brock is Venom now, so I thought that this would focus, because right now in the story, the symbiote and Eddie are kind of separated right now, right? So I thought this was going to be about the symbiote kind of out there on its own, right? Instead, it's actually a very Eddie Brock focused story, and those out there who are interested in like first appearances and big deal issues or something like that, there may be something in here that might spark some interest in buying up this book, but I'm not completely sure about that. But some really cool stuff happens in this issue, and I was really thrilled with it. I was really impressed. Amazing Spider-Man number 20 continues the Hunted story, and I'm loving it. Feels like maybe it's going on a little bit too long. We still got like, what, 3-4 more issues to go, tying in everything together and whatnot, but I am liking the story. Humberto Ramos is back on the artwork on here, doing what he does best, doing crazy, zany, wild, Spidey things. I think Nick Spencer's got a great grasp on the character Peter Parker. He's got a great grasp on the history of Spider-Man. I like those nice little small references to the old school days. I like those nice little inside jokes for us longtime fans, stuff like that. So I am liking this book. I like this Hunted story, and I like the little twist that's been provided in this Amazing Spider-Man. And it's an arcade story that doesn't suck, and that surprises me. It really, really does. Superior Spider-Man is out this week with issue number 5. This issue's not as good or as strong or as solid as the first 4. It's still decent. It's still serviceable. It does its job, and it does its job well. It's nice to see Otto Octavius trying to be a hero once again, and seeing the repercussions of his circle, his peer group, and his friends, his social circle, seeing the repercussions of that when this information starts becoming a little bit more obvious, right? So it's cool. He also has a nice little run-in with Doctor Strange in this issue, but overall, it was all right. It was a step down for me. It just wasn't as exciting as the last few issues, especially with the Terrax stuff and the Cosmic Universe, the Cosmic Superior Spider-Man, but it's still Otto, still Spidey, and still kind of fun. Absolutely. Fantastic Four number 9 wraps up this whole Heralds of Doom, Judgment of Doom, whatever of Doom storyline, and it's been pretty, it's okay. It's okay. You know, I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, so I always love every issue of the Fantastic Four, but the artwork has been a little inconsistent lately. Even the Aaron Kuder stuff has not been completely spot on. They switched the art throughout the last couple issues. It's been all right. This Doom story is cool, but it just feels a little, feels like there's some, I feel like what's missing right now in Fantastic Four is just room to breathe. Right? They just came back and we got all this stuff happening, and I feel like we haven't actually had time to just have a breather. And maybe that's coming up soon, but I don't know. We're about to get into some War of the Realms stories. But it does have the feel of a classic Fantastic Four story. Reed does some awesome stuff in this issue. I always like a great Doom story. But this is Fantastic Four, and it's good. It's decent. I'm just glad it's back, but it's not one of Marvel's best comics, unfortunately. Riri Williams' Ironheart is out with issue number 5 today, wrapping up the first story arc. Yeah, it wraps it up. Yeah, it does. This has been a phenomenal book. I have loved this book. Eve L. Ewing, Luciano Viccio, and Matt Mila have done an absolute fantastic job with this book, making it dynamic, making it fun, making it fresh, making it deep and relevant, but also very funny and witty all at the same time. Riri's a great character. She was created by Brian Michael Bendis, but she's really getting fleshed out here by Ewing's work. I'm really liking this stuff. Really like this issue. And fans of my Let's Talk Night Thrasher page and videos, more Midnight's Fire in this issue of Ironheart. Wouldn't it be cool if they could throw Night Thrasher in an issue? That'd be so cool. If Midnight's Fire is up to no good, Dwayne's going to be right behind him. Makes sense to me. Makes sense. Anyway, the dialogue, the pacing, the action, the artwork, the lettering, everything about this book to me is just top notch. There's Midnight's Fire right there. Just look at it. Super cool. So New Warriors fans, rejoice. Mr. and Mrs. X is out with issue number 10 this week. Kelly Thompson, once again, telling me there's no such thing as a bad character. You do something fun with it, I'll enjoy it. Rogue and Gambit, always hated these characters. Now I'm loving them. Loving their marriage, loving this book. I love the dialogue. I love the hijinks of it. Another thing I've always hated in the X-Men books has been Mojo stories. Every time, like, a Mojo story would come up in the comic or one of the episodes of the animated series, I'd roll my eyes, be like, not Mojo. Man, this has been one of my favorite Mojo stories. It's been fun. It's been exhilarating. I really like the camaraderie and the romance between Rogue and Gambit, and I've never, ever said that stuff until this book. Kelly Thompson and company have nailed it. Yet again, Marvel Comics Presents is out with issue number 4. This has got a pretty decent Wolverine story that Charles Soule's been doing, and I like this chapter. It's been nice. It's basically him and this woman that's got like magical powers. Every 10 years they have to stop this demon from rising or something like that. So each chapter's been at different decades. That's kind of cool, right? Then there's a Spider-Man story by Daniel Kibblesmith. It's really neat because it's one of the Marvel Age stories or whatever it is where they're set in just different, whatever time they want it to be. And then this one, it's about Peter Parker trying to go see Star Wars for the first time back in 1977. So that was cool. But the big highlight of this issue, y'all, is the Benjamin Percy, Juan Ferreira, Moon Knight story that is just glorious. This is amazing. Can we get this team on an ongoing Moon Knight book, please? 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 Worth the price of admission alone, for me. Let's jump over to DC. Probably their biggest book this week is Heroes in Crisis number 8. This is the big tell-all, explanatory, this is what's been going on issue. I don't know if I like this book, y'all. I don't know. This is weird and it's weirdly problematic for me. I really do like Tom King's work, and sometimes it takes a minute for me to get into some things, and sometimes his work is just brilliant just right from the bat, like Omega Men, Vision, Mr. Miracle. Those books were just engaging and so awesome every single issue. Batman has issues that goes up and down and a direction that at times gets a little fuzzy, but then when I go back and read it in hindsight, I really start liking the themes that are being approached in Batman. Heroes in Crisis is just all over the place, and like I'm giving it's got one more issue. It's got one more issue. We're going to see how it all ties together. But I think I have an idea where it's going. But even if it goes and where I think it's going, I don't know if I like this book. But I am interested in sitting down once all 9 issues are out and reading it all together. Because this book has been all over the place. At times it has great moments. This issue has great moments. Great moments of a character looking you in the eye and talking about their pain. Right? Absolutely great stuff. But overall, the whole story, it just gets muddy, gets weird, and yeah, this explains everything. This issue explains everything. How I feel about that, I'm still a little unsure about that. Detective Comics is out this week with 1002, and man, Peter Tomasi has been writing some good Batman. His Batman run from before with Damian, Batman and Robin, that run was great. That run was fun. That run was great. Like, Born to Kill, such a good story. This stuff's been amazing. Mythology was his first arc. Now he's in Medieval, introducing the Arkham Knight into the DC Universe continuity. Who is he? We still don't know, but there's a nice Damian spotlight in here too, so it's nice to see Tomasi go back and take a look. This is Brad Walker's best work of his career that I can think of. Like, great line work, really cool stuff. Some people may not like the lenses on the Batman mask or the Damian Robin mask, but I actually do like it. This book has been big. It's been explosive. It's been epic. It's got detective work in it. It's everything you want in a Batman book. Really good stuff. 1002, I really like that. Action Comics 1010. 1010. Continuing the whole Leviathan Rising story. Part 4, who is Leviathan? What's this mystery? This is Superman and Lois undercover trying to talk about spirals. Some things happen. Somebody's attacking all these different, spy organizations in the DC universe, and everything's a target, and this story's getting a little muddy for me. It's getting a little muddy. However, what's not muddy is the artwork by Steve Epting. It is beautiful. It is luscious. Great stuff. Look at that. Look at that. This stuff is just elegant. It is so crazy, and I really like Superman's hair and beard in this issue. But other than that, though, the story for me, getting a little muddy in Action Comics right now. It's got direction, but something's just not hooking me in. Flash number 69 is here to wrap up this Trickster story that Joe Williamson and company have been doing, Scott Collins. This has not been his best issue on this series so far, but the last few were really, really solid. It's a nice wrap up to this whole Trickster story. I like this spin that Williamson's been putting on the Trickster, and it does have a nice little tie-in to the next issue, which is the start of the Flash Year 1 story. I've read that first issue, and I found it to be maybe a little bit clunky, but still good. I'm interested to see because apparently it's going to be a bigger deal than just retelling an origin story. You know what I'm talking about when you read Flash 69 this week. Justice League Dark number 10 is here, continuing the Lords of Order story. This one explains a lot of stuff and really starts tying the events of Tynion's Justice League Dark into more of the overall architecture of the whole Legion of Doom Justice League stuff that Scott Snyder and Tynion are working on, right? Martinez Bueno on the artwork, doing a fantastic job, doing great stuff there. Really interesting concepts, like I said, a lot of explanations and a lot of tying it together into the larger picture that I really did like. Love this new take on DC's magic, and it's got a great ending and some revelations important to the character of Zatanna. So be on the lookout for that. Freedom Fighters number 5 is here, the 5th part of a 12-part series by Robert Venditti, Eddie Barrows. They're doing a great job on here. So Uncle Sam has awakened, and he's back, and he's pissed off in an America that has been taken over by the Nazis. The Nazis won World War II. The Freedom Fighters all died. Now we got a new generation of Freedom Fighters and a new iteration of Uncle Sam arising, that Spirit of 76, to stand for the downtrodden and the oppressed. I really, really like this story. I think they're doing a great job. Detailed, textured artwork, very realistic at times, but still very giant, superhero, boisterous action as well. Really do like Freedom Fighters. It is out this week. Terrifics! Number 15 is here. This is the first issue of the Terrifics without Jeff Lemire. It is now written by Gene Luen Yang, right? And he does a fantastic job with this first issue. Really, I really like it. It's nice. I do like what Jeff Lemire was doing with this title. It was a big tribute, like a love letter to the Fantastic Four, but using Plastic Man, Mr. Terrific, Phantom Girl, and Metamorpho. And I really feel like Yang immediately comes in and has the voices of the characters, understands what's going on, and starts a fresh story that's connected to what came before that feels very cool. I don't know what the future of this book's going to hold because all these New Age of Heroes books have been officially canceled except for this one, I think, at this point. But I hope it can continue because it seems like Yang's going to have a really good take on this character, on these characters. The artwork, though, a little subpar for me in this issue. That's just me personally. Not bad, just feels like it's a little loose, a little rushed at times, but I did like the script. I like the characterization. I like the continuation of that terrific story. Dial H for Hero number 2 is here, and at first it started and I was like, it's not grabbing me back in very early for an issue number 2, and then definitely by the middle of this issue they had me hooked again. Really cool. One of the best things about any Dial H book is all the new crazy zany superhero ideas they come out with. This one's got a nice tribute to some manga, so fans of Dragon Ball and some fans of giant mecha robot manga fight stuff. I think you're going to like some of the bits in here. Really cool artwork by Joe Quinones, and Sam Humphries doing a great job with the story. I'm going to look real quick because I want to know if the section in the back, because when the manga stuff happens, the book goes full manga mode, right? And I wonder if that's a different artist or if that's just the colorist. Let me look. Where are the credits? I really don't like it when they don't put the credits easily accessible. There we go. They're right in the front. They're totally acceptable. Yeah, Joe does every single bit of the art, and Jordan Gibson is the color. So really cool job on Dial H for Hero. Good, solid second issue. The Wildstorm is here with issue number 22. It's almost done. 2 more issues after this one. And this one, as you can tell by the cover, the Authority fully rises, forms, and just is badass. And that's exactly what it should be. This has been Warren Ellis reimagining the Wildstorm universe, more modern, more sleeker, more cutting edge, more sci-fi, more rooted and grounded, futuristic sci-fi, less extreme, crazy, bonkers stuff from the 90s. A really great imagination, and he's built up the Wildcats, he's built up Skywatch, he's built up I.O., he's built up Michael Cray, especially along with the help of Brian Hill, and now he's leading it all up into the Authority, and it does not disappoint. I love this new version of the Authority. It works so well. And Warren Ellis, John Davis Hunt, and company have done an amazing job, and Steve Buccellato is the colorist. Gotta spotlight some of the coloring in this book. is absolutely fantastic. There's a page right there, but I'm not going to show it to you because it's very spoilery. But the coloring, the sophistication of those colorings on this detailed line work, really great. The Wildstorm's been great. I just really hope that this book, that we get announcements soon of this book continuing, these books, this reimagining of this universe continuing on. Here's Sleeper Hit of the Week, probably. Well, great book, not to be overlooked. Ghost Tree #1 from IDW Comics. This book was incredibly impressive to me. Bobby Curnow is the writer. Simon Gain is the artist. Ian Herring with Becca Kinsey are responsible for the coloring. This book is really, really cool. It's really masterful, absolutely, actually. The coloring, right? I mean, look at that cover right there. So the artwork is really cool. This is the cat that did They're Not Like Us, if you remember that book, the Eric Stevenson book that was over at Image. And this is the story of a boy who was told by his grandfather, 10 years after I die, meet me at this tree. Turns out that this tree is a ghost tree, right? And ghosts are led to this tree. This book is deep. It deals with like real deep personal type stuff. It's also very whimsical. It's got a nice tone throughout it. It's got a brilliant, beautiful pacing. Great line work. This book was just phenomenal. Ghost Tree #1. Definitely check it out. Really good stuff. Let me read the solicitation. An ancestral home, a haunted tree, a touching story of love, loss, and healing wounds from creators Bobby Curnow and Simon Gain. Absolutely check this book out. Do not miss it. Definitely check out those vaults. Check out a Cinder. Check out some of these other books. This right here. That book is amazing. Dick Tracy Forever is out from IDW. This is Michael Avon Oeming. I'm doing a love letter to Dick Tracy. So if you like Oeming's artwork and if you like Dick Tracy, I think you'll like it. It kind of takes some neat little spins on Dick Tracy at times in the story. It is three short stories that kind of loosely interconnect in a way, kind of thematically, just a little bit. This is for like super hardcore Dick Tracy fans though, or Oeming fans, because he does the entire art on all the artwork, right? There's one of my cover of the weeks right there, Punk Mambo #1 from Valiant Comics. This is written by Cullen Bunn with artwork by Adam Gorham, and I did like it. Punk Mambo is a character from Valiant Comics. She's like a voodoo priestess or whatever. She can control her Lawa, whatever they call them. They're like voodoo gods, something like that. And what happens when that power gets stripped away from her, right? So it's an interesting character that even if you don't know much about, you can jump right into this one. I think you'll like it. I like her attitude. I like the story. I like the world that's built up. Does a great job of introducing you to the character, to the situation, and just pulls you right through with this great thread of interest, of engagement. And it does it very well. Valiant does pump out some really, really good stuff. Punk Mambo, worth checking out this week. Star Trek fans, check this one out. Star Trek Year 5 is out. This is the untold story of the final year of the Enterprise's original 5-year journey. It's a little overly verbose and exposition-y at times. Takes a minute to get going, but once it gets going, it's kind of interesting, and it does have some nice sense of like foreboding to it, which I do like. The artwork is very clean and very solid, and one real cool thing to point out about this book is that it's written by Lanzig and Kelly. Those are the cats that did Sojicon over at Vault, which is one of my favorite Vault comics. So definitely check it out if you're a Trek fan. If you're not a Trek fan, though, stay away. Jughead The Hunger versus Vampironica. So this reads as a direct continuation of the Vampironica miniseries that concluded not too long ago, and it immediately kind of undoes some stuff from that series and reignites everything. So that's cool, and it does a great job with that. It's got a very brisk pace to it. It's written by Frank Thierry. No Jughead The Hunger appearance yet, but definitely building up into that in the next issue. One of my favorite things about this is the Archie horror line's doing what the Universal horror line did when they did things like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, or they did House of Dracula and stuff like that. So I really like the idea of the crossover. It feels old school, and I like it because of that. So there you go. Kino #15 is out from Lion Forge and Catalyst Prime. Their little superhero universe. Kino's been written by Alex Packnadel, writer of Friendo. This book has been just righteous since he's taken over. Joe Casey did the first 8 issues or so, and he did a great job of building up this mystery of this superhero that's being like kept in this fantasy comic book world, and then when he gets out of that world, that's when Alex Packnadel takes over, and the book gets a lot more about humanity. It becomes a lot more about some social issues. This book, especially this issue, this is a fresh start on a new story arc you can jump in on here without having read what's come before. It may seem a little confusing, but it's kind of built that way. Really great, excellent work. Really like Packnadel's script. The art by Diego Galinto and Valentina Pinto is really good. It's very action-packed. Great characters, and continuing on the story. And I really like how Packnadel is taking this book and he's turned it into something a little bit more real, a little bit more of a warning He's just really done some great stuff with Kino. So Kino number 15. I know a lot of people aren't really getting into Catalyst Prime stuff. If you want to try out any book, I would recommend Kino. Absolutely. Good stuff. The Avant Gardes. Number 4 is here. This has been an absolute great book about an all-girls art school who decides they want to have a basketball team and all the adversity that they will have to battle on the way to that, but also about some really nice, charming, personal, like deep down romantic type stories. Lots of threads in here. Very humorous, very witty. Great coloring by Rebecca Nalty. She'll be coloring the upcoming She Said Destroy book, which is awesome. Very bold coloring. I really like these bold colors. Carla Houston is the writer. Noah Hayes is the illustrator. They have done a fantastic job with this book. It's very engaging, very fun. The Avant Gardes. From Boombox. From Image, we got Criminal number 4. Like I said, I've never really read any Criminal until this new relaunch, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Apparently, this is a character that Criminal fans know of. I didn't know anything about him or his history, and I've still read this book, and it was really good. Really good crime fiction stuff. Sean Phillips on the artwork. Just beautiful. Just elegant. Fantastic. Jacob Phillips on the coloring. Very noirish. Very crime fiction. Just perfection. This is really well-made comic books right there. And finally... Well, not finally. Let's talk about Redneck, though, real quick. So Redneck number 19 is here. This starts the 4th arc of Donny Cates' vampire epic, right? And after the tragic events at the end of book 3, where do we go from here? Into exciting new territory. That's what Cates and Company do. If you like Redneck, you're going to love it. If you like, you're going to love it. It's just a great new story, a great new chapter, a great new direction. It's really fun. It just hits all the nails on the head. And when you do a big tragic ending, I mean, it was like Red Wedding-esque, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Redneck number 19 really picks up those pieces and blazes forward excellently. Just does it fantastically. This book reminds me of books like, of movies like Near Dark. It's like the best parts of Lost Boys and Near Dark thrown together into Vampire Rednecks. Real fun stuff. So Redneck number 19 is out this week. And finally, let's talk about Maneaters number 8. So just like the one that was the entire magazine, there was that issue, it was issue 5 of Maneaters, was all just like magazines, so it had articles and stuff. This is all like games. So this whole issue is set up with all these rules for games, and it's satirical, and it's really, really cool. And it's it was very pleasurable to go through it again. But there's no story. There's a little bit of things about just the idea of the pantherism and what it is and how it relates to the story of Maneaters. But if you've been reading Maneaters, this is another real fun surprise that I didn't see coming. And it actually has these like cutout cards that you can actually, I think you could actually play these games if you have like 2 gallons of pig's blood. Anyway, so that's what I read this week. That's what I thought about it. One more thing I want to show you. Vault does have one of those vintage covers for Queen of Bad Dreams, which is the Madame Xanadu cover from back in the day. And they have the Fissure trade paperback that is out. I haven't read this yet, but do be expecting a trade paperback review of this within the next couple weeks. So thank you guys so much for checking out the video. What are you excited to read this week? What are you just loving about comic books? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Please do check us out at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more comic book reviews, movie reviews, and things like that. Thanks for rocking with us. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Keep on reading.